There is a town in Angus in Scotland, about 15 miles, 25 kilometres north east of Dundee, where they make a pie, a little handheld pie, that is often unfairly compared with the Cornish pasty, but in my opinion it's nicer. The Forfar Bridies is a beautiful, beautiful little handheld pie, and I hope I'm going to faithfully construct one here for you today. So we'll go through the ingredients. I'm going to make this with a pre-rolled short crust pastry. Now, the jury's out on whether you should use short crust or puff pastry for this, but I think the consensus falls on the side that the traditional Forfar Bridies were made from short crust pastry. So I'm going to run with that. We'll see what it turns out like. And I don't need, for two Forfar Bridies, I don't need too much meat. So I've only got 250 grams, but I've got the good stuff. It's only 5% fat. It's very low in fat. I've got half a medium-sized onion, which is ground up very finely. I've got an egg wash. I've got some English mustard. I've got some pepper, white pepper I'm going to use in this because it's more traditional than black pepper. I've got a single beef stock cube, which I have made up with only 50 mils of water. So it's super strong, so I won't be needing any salt because there's enough salt in there to deal with it. I've also got a principal flavouring of this is powdered mace, so I'm going to need about half a teaspoon of powdered mace. If you can't get your hands on mace, you'll need about a quarter of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Mace is the mother of nutmeg. It actually wraps around the nutmeg itself. So it's of a very, very similar flavour profile. It's a little bit milder, it's a little bit lighter and a bit more delicate, and it adds fabulous flavour to these Forfar Bridies. So right, let's get started. I'm going to it's all quite simple, so I'll just clear the decks and then I'll show you what we do. So first into my mixing bowl goes the lean mince. That goes in. And then the onions. Then the stock. I'm just going to put in a little bit of English mustard. The original recipe calls for mustard powder, but I don't have any. So I'm just going to chuck in a bit of mustard there. English mustard. Some pepper. I'm going for about a third of a teaspoon. I like lots of seasoning in mine, and that's how much pepper I like. You might want to start with about a quarter of a teaspoon first, see how you get on with it. And you're going to need about the same of ground mace. There we go. That already smells amazing. So I'm going to get in there with my hands and give it a good massage. Now I've got it nicely mixed up, all mixed in together. I'm going to put that in the fridge to firm up just for about 20 minutes. Again, we have Mr. Paul, Bradley Bennett and Mike and Nancy Abel to thank for the production of this video. Thanks guys, you're helping keep the lights on around here. Cheers. So I've got my oven set to 180C. That's 180 Celsius, about 350 Fahrenheit. And that will be the temperature that we bake our Bridies at. First of all, I want to cut this down so I end up with two pies. So I'm going to just go straight down the middle like that. And the next thing I want to do is divide my meat into half and plonk it just one side of the middle like that, and let's have a look, make sure they're even. A bit more off that one, a bit more on that one. I think you can always weigh it and split it between the two, so but leave yourself room each side of the meat to close it up. The next thing we want to do is go around the edges with a bit of egg wash. And I'm painting quite close to the meat with that, and you'll see why in a sec. These make a lovely little handheld snack, and they're also nice as a main meal, as part of the main meal, with some chips, some baked beans. So what we then do is we situate our meat just this side of the centre line, and then bring the back over the front to meet up here, and then we press down close to the meat to get rid of any excess air around it, and then I press down quite firmly around the margins like that. That helps it all set. Do the same with this one. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to cut away the excess, and I'll probably be doing that again in a second. So I'll put those to one side, because I can always bake those. You can always bake those off as little snacks. Cut across the front. Give it a decent lip though, a decent edge around it. Something like that. So you're ending up with pretty attractive pies. Now the thing I like about Forfar Bridies is they're kind of round at the front. So what I like to do is just take that off as well prior to crimping it. So it brings it to a kind of a round front. It's very nice, and it makes it distinctive from Cornish pasties, which, like I say, it's often unfairly compared to. I personally actually prefer Bridies to Cornish pasties, but don't tell anyone, or otherwise I'll get kicked off the English list. I've just got myself a glass of water to dip in, so I can go around the edge without it clinging to the fork. So just dip your fork in some water and then go around the pasty, or go around the bridie should I say, with the tinier fork, and that crimps it up really nice. I'll do the same on the other one. Okay, so we've got them crimped up nicely, and I'm just going to transfer those to a baking tray before I tidy them up. Okay, I did that off camera because things are a bit tight around here. So I'm just going to go around the edges again, tidy them right up. Just going to tidy up that a little bit where the crimping is. The extra time you spend now will make it much worth your while up with the finished pies. So get them looking nice, because they'll look even nicer when they're baked. I'm just going to put a couple of holes in each pie. So put them in, wiggle it, put them in, wiggle it. I find that process a bit easier if I dip my knife in water first as well. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is get the egg wash on top of these here pies and get it on even. you can just use the yolk as well if you've got plenty of egg spare. I don't today, but you can just use the yolk, and it gives a nice, perhaps slightly more even coating than the whole egg. So it's a kind of pocket pie. It's actually more pocket shaped than a lot of so-called pocket pies, but it was designed as a portable snack, as a portable pie. They're nice to eat cold, and they're also exceptionally good to eat hot, so you can enjoy them any which way. So I'm going over that just one more time to make sure the coating is even on the Bridies, and I think just to be double sure, I'm going to dip my knife in water and open up the vents again, just in case any egg has blocked them off. And they're now ready to bake, boys and girls. So they go in the oven about 180 degrees Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit for 40 to 45 minutes. Keep an eye on them. If your oven cooks unevenly, make sure you turn the tray around midway, and then we'll see what they turn out like, shall we? Okay, there's a little bonus. I've taken all the bits are cut off, and I've covered them in what was left of the egg wash, and sprinkled some bread seeds over them. I buy these seeds for baking bread, and a bit of salt over the top, and they'll just go in the oven now and bake for a few minutes till they're browned, and then that'll be a little savoury, salty snack for later on. Well, they turned out rather nice. They only took a few minutes, about 10 minutes, so they'll do as a nice tasty little snack. Just sit them on a cooling rack, let them cool off, and so they'll crisp up a bit. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you want to help me out with the donation, there's donation links below to PayPal, Subscribestar, and Buy Me a Coffee. Meanwhile, the thumbs up and your comments below help a lot. Thanks ever so much. Thanks in advance. All right, let's see how these have turned out. Oh yes. Oh. I see one of them has got a bit active, but I'd say that those two Bridies have turned out pretty gorgeous. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm going to let those. I'm just going to let those cool off a little bit, and then I'll serve them up. I'm going to serve these with beans and chips, I think. Lovely. So there you have it. Forfar Bridies with chips and baked beans, and I'm just going to give it a nice dust of pepper. Just how I like it. Absolutely gorgeous. Now for the taste test. Now for the best bit, the taste test. Plenty of that beef. The mace is amazing. It comes right through it all. Super taste. I've had Forfar Bridies actually in Angus in Scotland myself before, but I remember they were really good. And that is every bit as good as I remember them. Fantastic. If you like pies, you really got to do this. Rather pleased with that.